Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MLG versus Pro League Finals. It's Sue versus Oz right now, locked in battle in a best-of-7. Only one game is down, and Sue takes it. We're about ready to go into game 2 on Cloud Kingdom.
Yeah, you know, I think that this is another good opportunity for Oz to do one of his funky builds. It has the nice formation where you can be defensive as Protoss, but still mount an attack that will catch Zerg a little by surprise, but God, that looked terrifying in game number 1 where Sue was just like, oh yeah, bring on the 16-minute timing push and just snapped its neck without any problem.
Yeah, and is he going to be able to do it again? Remember, this is a best-of-7 with $10,000 on the line, and we are live and going into game number 2. Thanks for joining us. We are here at the Dallas Convention Center where the MLG Fall Championships is taking place tomorrow. And so on the eve of that major event, which will feature many of the Pro League players that competed in the MVP, we are here amongst the crew. Thanks, crew, for being out here.
Hooray, crew.
Good job.
Up in the top right corner, the man who defied any sort of odd to get here to the finals today, currently leading 1-0, SK Telecom's Sue.
And you're right, he definitely defied quite a bit, but made it all work in his favor here in the southwest position as the red Protoss. Will he bring Unorthodox to this next matchup? We're going to find out. It's Fnatic Oz.
Now, Oz is doing a little bit more of a traditional maneuver, moving out with this probe right off the bat, making sure that he can scout his opponent in case anything bad is coming, like a 6-pool, 10-pool, which we have seen Sue fall back on from time to time. Well, actually, less from time to time. It is in his bag of tricks, but it is a rarely used bag of tricks, Marcus.
Of course. Now, this time, So is going to get what he expected to get in game 1, which is that pylon into the probe. The pool's going to go down, and of course the hatch to follow behind this. So, you know, still in that last game, I don't know that any of the decisions made really early on, like for example, Oz's decision to go with the Nexus first, no scout, had any true effect on what we saw later on in the game. But sometimes these initial moments can end up impacting later on, or if you just have a shorter game.
Looks like he does want to go for the Forge first. A lot of players do prefer to always Nexus first. And, ooh, managing to block with a pylon. Probe is barely alive. Should probably avoid that drone. But Oz is the kind of player to throw down a gateway right here.
Yeah.
Make sure his opponent really, really cannot expand. The big important aspect to that, though, is making sure you get your own Nexus up quickly.
And he actually, he decides to, well, he gets his Zerglings out and he put the hatchery down at the front because of the cancellation on the pylon. So doesn't put the third down at all, just kind of delays it a little bit. I guess I can understand that a little bit. We got these Zerglings coming out. They should take care of that probe. And with the help of that drone, nope, drone's not going to help at all. He just goes right through there. But getting rid of that threat, one of the most important things. Is he going to put down a third rather quickly here, though? We'll find out.
This is a very unusual play coming out from Oz. He's getting his gateway, what would be considered traditionally late. 3:30 is considered a nice time for a gateway, but around 3:50 or 4 tends to be the I am focusing on economy, I am not focusing on aggression early on. Now, this would normally be fine, except for the fact that there's this early assimilator, so this would imply that he wants to get a very fast +1 and a fast warp gate, but those two are at odds because you can't both get fast warp gate and then delay the gateway. So Oz could just be going for a 1 gas opening that gives him a sentry and a +1 zealot.
We'll find out. Here's that gateway's going to be finishing up. That scouting probe was finally eliminated by the Zerglings making their way across the map, but probe number 2 already out and going on the southern side of the map. So Oz, there's that +1, and there's a Zealot coming out. So he immediately throws down the side core next to that Nexus at the expansion. Should also mention that Sue did manage to get that third hatch up. No gases quite yet. Should be coming soon. But things looking pretty typical right now.
Now, this is sometimes the unfortunate situation you wind up in as Oz. You try to scout your opponent for any really juicy bit of information and you're going to see standard, but still, this is important that Oz identifies 2 hatches, and he has seen one at the third and at the natural. That's honestly a scouting technique that a lot of people neglect to do because it's just so damn common. But still, it's very easy to lose to those sorts of all-in plays.
We do have all the gases being taken by Oz now, and Warp Gate. Warp Gate definitely, did it start a little bit later? I don't know. I guess the Assimilator just got up, but Yeah, he's got Warp Gate going, and getting that initial Stalker out as well. And, I mean, look at these Zerglings just patrolling around the map, trying to keep any pylons out, any probes out, just locking down his side of the map.
Yeah, things honestly look very, I almost call them hyper standard in Sue's base. The double gas at 6 minutes. No doubt there's going to be some follow-up with the fast layer. You generally go for the fast layer if you identify that your opponent has taken an early gas geyser, but it looks like Sue's just doing a little bit of a safety precaution, getting the Roach Warren up first.
And the Twilight Council went down inside of Oz's base still. No extra gateways there. He throws down an additional pylon. He's got more Stalkers coming, and we do have a pylon being thrown down here at the front. And I'm not really sure what Oz hopes to accomplish here. I mean, Warp Gate's still a ways off, so he would have to hold off with these units and the one Stalker that's coming in. Here that pylon is going to be forced to be canceling. I don't know, is this a play for like, hey, I'm doing some early pressure? Because right now this Overlord is going through his opponent's base, and it's not seeing anything. No extra gateways, like nothing.
I actually do like this play quite a bit by Oz, because you'll notice that there were a full set of 12 extra Zerglings produced there. 21 Zerglings out right now, and as long as Oz is doing something really nice with his Chrono Boost, then he's going to be in fan-frickin-tastic shape. And he just, again, has a very clever little build, going for Blink N+2 before anything else, even before he adds on additional gateways. And with this fast Robo, he can begin that Observer and then follow it up with an Immortal. So it's to try to counteract a Zerg player who's going to be overly Roach-reliant in the mid-game, which is exactly where Sue looks like he's at. Yeah, absolutely. With that Evo Chamber finishing up and his Roach speed already underway. Really all he has is these slow lings out. Of course, speed is going to be finishing up. We also see Burrow coming down as well. But yeah, this does sort of work out in Oz's favor, regardless of the fact that he gave up the Zealot and you know, cancellation on a pylon. He's going to use that Observer, be able to snipe that Overlord, which is very important Overlord to get rid of. You know, having that spotting all game for a Zerg player is pretty fantastic. So you had mentioned also with those additional Zerglings that came out as a result of that attack, and you can see it in the drone count versus the probe count. 61 to Oz's 55 right now, and I would expect Sue to be a little bit further along than that. So right now it looks like Oz is just doing a standard 10-minute 3-base play. This is just as normal a play as you can get. However, Oz has a little caveat in there. Ooh, Zergling swinging in, not going to do any damage. Excellent force fields. Look at those force fields, just perfectly planning down. Couple Zealots warping in, even has Blink. Could have saved the Stalker, but it looks like Oz might not want to reveal that he has Blink yet. But again, fast +2 means a fast +3 is right around the corner. It looks like Oz is going to be able to do a really fast Blink Stalker push. I would anticipate that he'd be adding on many extra gateways, probably going up to 9 or 10 total, and not getting the Colossus.
Now, also, Oz has some fantastic Observer coverage over the map. Here by the Watchtower, even though he doesn't have it, up by the 4th as well, that Sue just put down. And so he's got good vision of everything going on. Now, here comes those Lings yet again, not committing to anything, just being used as harassment and, I guess, a displacement tool for the positioning of the Protoss. But with the first Infestors out and Pathogen Glands actually still a ways behind, it's fine because he's going to be able to pool some energy going right there. But +3 weapons is going to be complete. It's about a third of the way done. And here comes a lot of Stalkers. So, yeah, I mean, exactly right. We've got those 2 additional gateways. Not quite as many gateways as I would agree with you. I thought we'd see a lot more, but hold on. Uh-oh, looks like the Stalkers will not get trapped. A nice little wall off from Oz. Very smart with his positioning. He actually didn't get gas too early at this 3rd base. Wanted to make sure that he could begin stockpiling up those gateway units first and foremost. And now Oz is in a little bit of the weird position you always end up in Cloud Kingdom. Are these Zerglings at the back going to be counterattacking you, or can you begin moving safely up north? This is a nice timing where we are going to see Oz try to do an attack before Sue can saturate that 4th base. Yeah, absolutely, and I like the way that he's going in for the attack, like bringing it more that way. A lot of the units are pooling out towards the 4th base of Sue, but what we've got is we've got Oz making his way up, clearing out the creep towards the natural, which forces Sue to, you know, bring all of his units back, and it does expose that 4th base quite a bit. Of course, it doesn't have much going on in it. Only gases are taken at this moment. but I like this sort of vying for positioning here that's happening.
Su's doing a nice job moving his army back and forth. But Oz, I think, is starting to get a little bit of the upper hand in this regard. He's actually beginning to mass up a big army here, a huge threat. But Su never wants to give up control of those watchtowers. Such a nice technique. The watchtowers are one of the most important pieces of the map at this point. And now it looks like Su is going for it, but I'm not sure that this is the right time.
Well, he's coming in from all sides. Actually, force fields will stop him from 2 of those avenues, and so he's forced to move back. I mean, a little bit of energy comes off those sentries, but I think you're absolutely right. It wasn't necessarily the right time. You could see that he's certainly going for something coordinated here. His infestor count looks mighty good. He only has a few roaches peppered in there, and the lings are a lot of the meat of that army, but without the Colossus, and here it moves up. Nice warp in there inside the main base.
Warping in the main base will be able to take out the infestation pit. It's still at layer tech. That is the amount of pressure that Su has been applying, or excuse me, that Oz has been applying to Su, and now it's Oz's turn to begin taking things into his court. He's still moving around with this warp prism, still being so effective. Just has to make sure to keep it alive.
Yeah, and it's almost just a bait. A lot of attention is being put over there, and I thought that that was going to be the opportunity for Oz to move in there and start putting some pressure at the fourth, but frankly, it's just the gases. Like, throwing away units would be good, and there we go. Huge fungals all over the army of Oz.
Oz ordinarily would have loved this. He would have gotten free shots off on the infestors, but there were too many Zerg units coming from all angles. And again, Su just destroys it with an incredible amount of infestors.
I mean, a lot of it is coming down to, like, the angles, the positioning of these two armies as they engage. Now, I want to take a quick look at the infestor energy here and what was actually given up. He still looks like he's doing pretty good. He's got some fungals. He's got some available infested Terrans. Oz right now sitting on 113 supply, and with another Colossus come out, not really seeing those mass gateway unit warp-ins.
I mean, Oz just has units on every little angle, and this is the way to play very modern PvZ. You're just trying to drain those infestors from energy, so that way, when you just get 2 or 3 Colossus and begin to repush again, the Zerg not only doesn't have Broodlords, but doesn't even really have any infestors to deal with it.
Here the Corruptors are out. The Corruptors took out that Warp Prism, now immediately going for the Colossus. They're done. That means the Lings are going to maximize their damage. A big warp into Zealots, but it may not even matter. The infested Terrans also doing some great work. Look at how low these Stalkers are, Sean.
Oh, these Stalkers just have been unable to do anything. And look at how brilliant Su's playing. He's just going to replenish the infestors. Doesn't even care if he has enough gas left over to begin that Broodlord tech. He is just going to be drilling straight into Oz's base. And right now is up to 15 infestors.
Wow, it's looking pretty nice. He needs some ground units, though, and here comes a bunch more Lings and Gateways coming back into the mix. I mean, seeing Oz push back to his third base is a bit scary, considering, I feel, like the control that he had just moments ago. But now we're seeing the army of Su eventually get further and further, or closer rather, to Oz's base. And is he going to go in for a big tack on the third? It looks like that's what he's gearing up for.
You know what a lot of players will be doing right now in Oz's shoes is trying to get a warp prism. So that way when they do the big push, they can do the warping in the main. We saw that. Ooh, big push coming up from Su, but Force Fields will be able to deny it for just a little bit. Infested Terrans thrown on the high ground. Some excellent fungal growths, but again, not too many. Wants to continue with those infested Terrans, and yet again, the infestor tech is just ripping Oz apart.
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing a ton. He is going to be able to take care of these infested Terrans. Didn't really have the Zerglings there. Will he still send these Zerglings in? No, he wants to fight him with the rest of his army. There's still a few Zealots as in there. He's going to have to get a couple sentries. But again, I look at the health and the shields of these Stalkers, and they are certainly battle-worn, that is for sure.
Ooh,
and look, now we've got Su on the chase, and he could cut off Oz in a major way here. There it is.
Oh, gosh,
GG.
Cut apart. Good game. Su 2-0 in very swift games.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't expect this. I thought we'd definitely see some back and forth, but Su's looked strong from the moment that the gates opened up and the race started.
Yeah.
Now 2 games ahead. I mean, if you look at game number 1, you look at game number 2, we talked about him using the Broodlord Infestor tech, but frankly, it's been more Zergling Infestor for this guy here. What do you think?
I mean, it's the Zergling play that I think is so smart from Su, because what most Protosses tend to do is sit at home, just hold up, and then do one big push at 16 minutes. You look at Creator Prime, exactly how Creator plays. A 16-minute push with Blinkstalkers, Dark Templar, and Immortals almost every time. But then you take a player like Oz, hyper-aggressive, lots of attacks going on all over the map at once. What's the best way to deal with that? Build lots of Zergling and Infestor and very few Spine Crawlers. The traditional way to deal with the hyper-defensive player is to go to 100 drones, then you make 25 Spine Crawlers and back down to the standard 75 drone amount. And then you go Broodlord Infestor. But it's just an incredible adjustment coming in from Su and just crushing Oz with it.
Yeah, Oz's only other saving grace, that Warp Prism Harass, which did get the Infestation Pit, but Su was all over that. Backup one went up, and he wasn't able to continue the Warp Prism Harass at the third, which I think was his original intention. Unfortunately, falling apart there in game number 2, but this is a best of 7. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, game 3 of the MVP Invitational Finals. Don't go away.